All right, there was an event for SEDEC, which is the Computer Entertainment Suppliers Association in Japan. It was established in 1996, all that great stuff. It's been around for a while, and they have presentations there about various video game related stuff. After all, Computer Entertainment Suppliers Association, kind of like ESRB or ESA, all that stuff, where you end up with E3, they have events. And at this event, Nintendo decided to talk about the Switch's operating system, or really the UI and the whole OS in general. And there's a lot of interesting stuff and a lot of technical jargon that I myself don't even fully grasp. So I'm just going to cover the things I understand and then link you to the sources down in the description if you'd like to dig deeper into it. But the general gist here is, if you're wondering why the Switch's OS doesn't have background music, if you're wondering why the animations are short and there's not like these little fun quips we've seen in the past, or maybe why the eShop doesn't have like this blaring theme and all this stuff, is essentially the design principles of the operating system was to mimic the NES. Basically, they wanted to take down any sort of thing that leads to a barrier between starting up your device and playing a game. And they weren't going to do it, obviously, by sticking in the cartridge and that's what's played, because you might have digital games and all that stuff. So it's not going to be exactly like an NES, where you stick a cartridge in, you turn the power button on, and that game starts. You're still going to have a menu to navigate, but they wanted to eliminate things that increase load times. And it was noted specifically that background music increases load times. This is why they didn't include background music in any meaningful factor in the operating system. They did not want people dealing with background music and dealing with long animations that ultimately take you just longer to navigate things, longer to navigate the eShop, longer to launch into games. These are little things we take for granted at times because, other companies are doing this, or Nintendo's done it in the past, but Nintendo said, no, with Switch, we want to make it so the focus is start your system up, download a game if you want to, play a game. Period. End of story. Nice and simple. In fact, to put this in perspective, the entire Switch's operating system takes up 200 kilobytes. That's right, 200 kilobytes. Not a megabyte, not 200 megabytes, kilobytes. The operating system is so tiny that it's almost non-discernible. I mean, there's text documents that are bigger than some of the elements inside the OS. Now, obviously, the more games you add and the more icons you have downloaded and all that stuff like that adds to it. But the base OS that's behind all of that, that's in front, obviously there's more, there's more space being taken up than 200 kilobytes overall when you're looking at your Switch's OS. But the base of the OS itself, the actual program running, is so tiny. 200 kilobytes. Insane. This is Switch's home menu design resources have less than 200 kilobytes. So I guess it's even less than 200 kilobytes. The entire design principle was made to just be super quick to get into your games. Now, I don't have the exact details because technically this was in Japan. There's not a full translation available. I do have to give a shout out to tech reporter, Wall Street Journal writer, analyst, all that stuff, Takahashi Machizuki, who put some of these details out on Twitter today. And obviously, I want to give a shout out to Reset Era, who has a thread that has images from the presentation that you've been seeing a little bit throughout this video. I don't even fully understand. I mean, just going image by image, talked about the Switch OS actually has many features, and they wanted people to feel it's easy to use. The Switch OS, separated games versus non-games, adjusted sizes, colors, density, top-to-bottom approach, tried to make the screen less crowded as possible, blah, blah, blah. Basically, everything they could do to simplify things. What I want to bring up, though, is that somewhere in there it was inferred that Nintendo is aware that some people would like an option to make it so when they turn on their Switch, their home screen is by default the All Games menu. That is something Nintendo is apparently aware of, and they are looking into making that possible. So, that the reason that's a desirability is that some people buy games and they forget about them because only so many games sit on that front menu. So they would like an option to make it so all games is your default menu, and then you can back out and go to the standard home menu for other things, like the eShop and all that stuff. And Nintendo is looking into that, so that's a positive. It's also notable that speaking of the Switch's OS and UI and all that stuff, Nintendo's actually hiring, believe it or not. Nintendo's put up a job listing for user interface engineers, And they have 2 jobs in specific, which are for like a director / planner and an actual engineers. And it says that both roles are designed to assist the development of the built-in software on Nintendo consoles, with the Switch's home menu, settings page, profile page, album, and news pages all specifically mentioned as examples of the type of work that will be carried out. And I got this information from a Nintendo Life article that I will link down in the description if people want to do that. It actually comes directly from Nintendo Japan's website. But yeah, I can't read Japanese, so we're going to go with the sources reported on this that are in English. But making things simple, very dinky OS, hiring people to improve upon it. All of this, I think, is a wholly positive thing. I actually like the Switch's OS. We can talk about missing features like not having a public-facing web browser and other things like that, but ultimately, I gotta say, Switch's, compared to Xbox One and PlayStation 4 anyways, and even Steam, Switch has the simplest interface to just turn it on and play a game. And it is something I overlook and underappreciated, I feel like, until Nintendo really just came out now and said, hey, look, it's about the games. So we want to make it as easy as possible, as quick as possible. Yeah, you might miss background music. Yeah, you might miss some animations here and there. But you know what? None of that has anything to do with actually playing video games. Anyways, folks, I am Nathaniel Robojets from Nintendo Prime. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. I'll just catch you guys in the next one.